Hello and welcome to Sport Tonight. I'm Cecilia Mogbe in Lagos.
What a greeting to you wherever you are in the world watching us. In London, I'm Austin Okonakwan. Cecilia, happy International Women's Day to you and all the wonderful women representing sports in Nigeria. You guys are fantastic. I had a reflection today and I was like, whew, what would have been of sports in Nigeria without the women? We love you guys and we appreciate you 100.
Thank you. I was going to relegate you to the background today, but I love the way you started. So happy International Women's Day to everyone watching us across the world. And of course, to all the special women that are making us proud. I'm going to start right here with, there is a name that has been consistent over the years from the under 17 level, under 20 level, till the Super Falcons. She is still, one of the best players you can think of in Africa. Yes, I'm talking about Asisat Oshoala. So today we are celebrating her. Just take a look at what I have behind me. This whole slide wouldn't have been enough for her if we have to bring all the laurels that she has won for herself and also for the country. Now, African Women's Cup of Nations, 3 times, the only Nigerian to have done that. You can actually argue with that. When I mean the only Nigerian, woman to have done that, I'm talking about, the other women that have done it. But in terms of other achievements she has added to it, she is the only one and also the only one in Africa. Now, let's leave that. UEFA Champions League with Barcelona. Just look at the back-to-back what Barcelona did with this one. 2020 and 2020-2021 season, 2022-2023 season. She was Barcelona, and of course, they won the Champions League there. Then Primera Division, that's the top flight in the Spanish women's football. 2019 to 2020, 2020, 2021, 2021, 2022, 2023. That's the consistency I'm talking about. Then take a look at this one. African Player of the Year. Men, male or female, no one has ever done that. 6 times. 2014, 2016, 2017, 2019, 2022, and 2023. That's the consistency. So Asisat Oshoala, of course, we are kind of a big shout out to her on the show tonight. Another player we have to pick out happens to be a basketball player. Yes, Sarah Ogoke. She has been with the national team since 2017, and she has been winning title. The only woman to have done that 4 times. She did the 3-peat with all the other girls, but she was the only one that came back of all those other girls who have won 3 times to be with this lady, these other ladies, the Tigers, to be able to win it 2023. Against all odds, they were able to push forward and win the title for Nigeria for the 4th time in a row. Who has done that? I don't think there's anyone. So Austin, this is how we're going to start the show tonight, celebrating women. And of course, there's another special woman with us tonight. She will be on the show, Simidele. Yes, when you hear that name, you understand what I'm talking about. I'm talking about skeleton, I'm talking about bobsled, I'm talking about triple jump, or is it sprint? She has done all sports. But winter sports, that's where she made history, becoming the first African to have actually participated at the World Bobsled Championship. Yes, the first African to do that, not just the first Nigerian. Yeah, she's right here. So she's going to be on the show tonight. So you see, Austin, when I say yes, we would have relegated you to the background, but I love the way you actually welcome all the women across the world with us. And there's also a woman here in the studio. Yeah. Okay, how do I introduce her now? Oludolapo Adewale. You have a word of do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, si,
re, mi, re, mi, do, re, mi, mi, mi.
Yeah, that's it. So she's right here making her debut with me on International Women's Day. It's great to have you here.
I'm excited to be here. So fantastic, beautiful studio right here.
Thank you. All right, Austin, yes, it's a loaded and a full package for us tonight. Yes, there's so much to talk about, not just the women alone. We're also going to be taking a look at table tennis. Yes, African games will get our attention. The NPFL is also, we'll also be talking about the NPFL. And of course, the EPL, the big one this weekend, the first and second, Manchester City and Liverpool will be in action. It's a loaded package, but of course, it is the International Women's Day, and we are celebrating the women. So Austin, Tega Ononjafe will also be joining us on the show tonight. You see, I've got like 3. How many women do we have here? 4 and just 1 man. I love that. Austin, you see the dominance, right?
I know, Cecilia, I should be thanking you, for giving me this small space to be on the show with you tonight. I feel blessed amongst women. I'm so proud of everything, women have done for sports in Nigeria. When you were looking at the records of Asisat and Sarah Ogoke, some of my faves, I was saying, which man comes close in terms of titles in football or any other sport? And I struggled, maybe table tennis, but with the titles and the laurels and the recognitions and the longevity.
Yes, consistency.
Cecilia, we must give honor to whom it is due. And truly, I doff my hat. I come out today to say well done to every woman that has contributed to sports development in Nigeria, Africa, and the world. They are the true champions of inclusion. They go the extra mile. They push themselves. And some of them are fantastic moms. Some of them are beautiful wives. And they still brave the odds and still, come out, entertain us, win medals. It's a fantastic lessons from men all over the world. And I hope that today, as we celebrate the International Women's Day and promote inclusion, we'll see more need to support women and help them achieve their goals.
And that's what we will be doing on the show tonight. Tega Anonjafe is also joining us. Tega, good evening. Tega, okay, I think when Tega is ready, we'll get back to Tega.
Can you hear me now?
Okay, yes, I can hear you. I can hear you now, so I need to see your face.
I'm so sorry. Happy International Women's Day once again, and an awesome evening to celebrate women. I like all the stats that were read about Asisat Oshoala because sometimes we do forget. And I like also Sarah Ogoke's own. And then, very important, a historian, because Simidele Adeagbo became the first Nigerian woman. So it's amazing to have all these legends of the game, and then we celebrate them on the show. So thank you, Cecilia, and thank you everybody in the studio for having me.
All right, so let's go straight to Simi. Dolakwa, I mean, it's a great one, but we'll go to Simi first, and then we'll come to you. I know you have a lot to say concerning Asisat Oshoala, because it's one woman that everybody wants to celebrate. If Simidele is ready to join us, we'll just have her now. Talk about, that achievement. What was it like? You're looking at everyone. It's more like Eurocentric, so to speak. But then you happens to be, because bobsleigh happens to be a sport that is dominated by men at first. And talking of you having many women, you don't have so many women in that sport. But being an African, being a black woman, competing, the 100-year history of that sport, breaking that record. And before that, remember in 2018, the Winter Olympics, she was there with the likes of Sheung, and so many of them, about 3 of them were there in that championship in skeleton. And then this time around is bobsled that we are celebrating. So Simi, it's good to have you join us tonight.
Thank you for having me, and happy Women's Day to you.
Same to you. Thank you so much for honoring us today, being a part of this program. Now, let me just start off with it. What was it like? You've made history. We can start reeling out the records today. We won't finish. Your first Nigerian skeleton racer competed at the 2018 Winter Olympics. Of course, first African, also female, in skeleton. And of course, first black female Olympian in the sport history. And in 2022, you won the women's Manu Bob event in 2022. That was the Euro Cup. That was in Germany. And of course, becoming the first African athlete to win the international sled race. And not just that, now the bobsled world championship. That's the 100-year history record you just broke. How do you do it? Because I know you started with sprint and triple jump, and then you went to the winter sports. Tell us.
Yes, no, it's been a journey. When I think about my track and field career, when I was a triple jumper, I never imagined that it would lead down this path of making history as a Winter Olympian and representing Nigeria on the world stage in a sport that, there's not many of us in it. Hardly ever, does this happen. And it took a whole century, 100 years, for an African athlete to compete in bobsleigh at the World Championships. So I'm so honored that I get to break these barriers, open these doors, and I think the future is bright for the continent of Africa, for the country of Nigeria, we have so many talented athletes. And so hopefully athletes see that winter sports is a possibility. And I'm just going to keep breaking down doors because my ultimate goal is to get to Milano Cortina 2026. And so there's still more to do, but so far it's been a great journey.
I love that. I mean, why did you decide to just leave track and field totally and then focus on a winter sport?
Well, when I left track and field, I thought I was done as an elite athlete. I went into the professional work world. I was doing marketing. My life was on a completely different path. But then in 2017, I heard about my bobsleigh teammates at the time, Simidele Adeagbo, who you mentioned, and two others who were on this path to make Olympic history. Because at the time, there had been no African representation at the Winter Olympics in bobsleigh. And so that got me very interested. And although I was a retired athlete, I was very passionate about the possibility of making history for Nigeria and the continent of Africa. And so ever since then, I've been just, ready to make more history. I think for me, this has been a journey that's very rooted in purpose. There's a bigger purpose around this. Podiums are nice. I don't mind getting medals. But my golden moment is really about representation and competing with the best in the world and showing what Nigerians can do on the world stage in a sport like bobsled. So the moment was golden for me. I wore these spikes. It was awesome. And I got in the top 20 in my first world championship. So I just keep focusing on how I can represent Nigeria to the best of my ability. And that's what matters to me.
That's interesting. I love that spikes. Austin, over to you. Austin is in London, so he's going to be having some questions for you, Simi.
Yeah, I Simi, Happy International Women's Day. It was in 2018, right after that historic feat in Pyeongchang. You came to Lagos. I was sitting with you in the studio. And I asked you one question, because then, yes, you went to Pyeongchang, but everyone was talking about the bobsled team, led by Simidele Adeagbo. There was Akwoma and Ngozi Owumere in the team. Yeah. And I asked you, I said, everyone is not talking about you now. You said they will talk about you someday. And look at you, walking the talk, and you spoke it into existence in 2018. What has kept you going?
I mean, it's not an easy sport. Let me just be very honest. The sport is very demanding physically, mentally, financially. It drains you. But it's that hope that I can climb that ladder and achieve so much based on what I know my potential is and based on what I know exists within me, exists within all Nigerians. It's that grit, it's that determination, it's that resilience, it's that perseverance that we all have. And so that keeps me going and it keeps me excited about the future. So yeah, here we are. Still, how many years later?
I know. In 2024, the world is talking about you, celebrating you. Nobody can tell a story about going the distance better than you, Simi. Today, we're celebrating women all over the world, and the theme is inclusion. And with what you've done, I tell you, speaks a lot about inclusion, particularly for athletes from diverse backgrounds. What sort of story do you want to tell that can inspire young persons, to go the distance in life?
Yes, I mean, we need to know that we can do it. We need to know that we can be brave and courageous and take steps and own space in whatever areas we want to. When you talk about stories, I actually have written a story. My book, children's book, Slay, Slay, Slay All Day, is exactly about that. It's a story about a young girl who is afraid to slay, but she has to summon up her courage. And even though she has times where she falls and makes missteps, eventually she continues on and accomplishes her goal. And that's the message I want to send to young people, is that you have to continue to persist. Tenacity, it's important. It may not happen the first time around, but you have to just keep going. You might be scared while you're doing it, but you have to push through that fear. And so that's the message that I want young people to really think about on this International Women's Day, is just the power of perseverance. Just continue to keep going and you will get there.
I love it so much. Cecilia, once again, I want to hand it over to you. Give the women all the flowers they deserve. I'm so inspired tonight. Thank you so much.
Yeah, Simi, yeah, before we let you go, you know, I know so many people are inspired by your story. I mean, the fact that hard work, I mean, not just hard work, determination also, and strong support system are actually key to survive, especially when it comes to an expensive sport like this. I mean, we want more people to actually follow your footsteps. We want the next Winter Olympics, we can't be celebrating more women in this sport. Is there anything you're doing, you know, for that? To make maybe the dreams of some young girls who are looking up to you and saying, okay, I know I'm a black woman, but obviously I can actually, you know, break that barrier and be able to, you know, attend a world championship in bobsleigh.
Yes, of course. So I have a foundation, the Simi Slays Foundation, and our job is to empower women and girls all around the world. And we focus on helping elite athletes that are at the Olympic and Paralympic level. And we also empower adolescent girls ages 14 to 17 through our leadership program, where we teach them leadership competencies through the power of sport. And so that foundation is doing a lot of work on ground. Just in November, I was in Nigeria. We did a program for 100 girls in a high school in Lagos. And so I'm spreading this message as far and wide as I can. Check out the Simi Slays Foundation, simislaysfoundation.org. You can find out more there. But every chance I get, I try to mentor, to bring people along. This is something that will take all of us, though. You know, I'm one woman, but I cannot do this alone. I'm in my sled alone, but I want you to come on the ride. And I think it is important on International Women's Day to just have a call to action. I want corporate Nigeria to come along as well, because this is not easy. You see me on the ice track, it looks easy. I hope I make it look easy, but it's not. We need that investment in women's sports. We need that financial investment. No one can do this on their own, as you mentioned. I try to build the best community that I can around me, but I still have 2 years to go to the next Olympics. So corporate Nigeria, I need your help. Where are you, corporate Nigeria? Come through, support me, support other female athletes. You mentioned at the top of the show, so many great women, soccer, basketball, track and field, representing Nigeria, giving it our all, wearing the colors of our flag and wearing them with pride. But we need your support to continue to do that at the high level in which we're doing it.
Yeah, thank you so much, Simi. And I love how you rounded this up. And I hope they are listening also. You get the support that you need going into the Winter Games in 2026. Thank you so much for joining us on International Women's Day.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
All right, have a great night rest. All right, let's go on a quick break. When we come back, of course, Ludo Olakwa is in the studio. Tega is also hanging in there. Yeah, welcome back. I mean, Simi ended with a clarion call, support for women's sport. That is key, Dolapo. How she rounded it off. I mean, I don't know how she's doing it, but somehow you just have some women who, once they set a target for themselves, until they achieve that, they never let go.
I like the fact that she touched on investing in women's sport. Gone are those days when you think that just investing in women's sports is just like a charity. No, it's not a charity. It's actual business. So I liked that she touched on it, not only in our sport, in basketball, in football, in any kind of sport you can think of. And that's the goal. Investing in women's sport is just the way to go. It pays to invest in women's sport. Now, let's talk about our run. You know, she was recapping, I think Austin was asking, the run from 2017 down to this time. His consistency is great, his determination. One thing that stands out for me about Simi is the fact that I think that same month when they were preparing to go to the Winter Olympics stayed fresh in my mind because it was the week I was supposed to have a baby. Okay. So in 2018, so I remember that I finished talking about them on a sports show and I went to the hospital. So it remains phenomenal in my memory. Anytime I think of that team, the name that stands out for me was Simidele Adeagbo and Simi. So anytime I remember bobsleigh, and I'm wondering, we don't have winter in Nigeria. You know, it was kind of strange at that time. But one thing you asked her, and I will hold on to, is the fact that younger girls, how are they seeing this and saying, let's let me take on the sport. One thing I would like to see is even young girls in the diaspora saying, I want to go to the Winter Olympics.
I want to for Nigeria.
Yes, I want to do this. That's what I would like to see. Let me quickly circle back to Sarah. Sarah Ogoke is just phenomenal. The consistency from 2017 till now. And let me add this. You know, she looks like Michelle Alozie in a way. Why I say so is both of them are in the medical field.
Yeah, she's a surgeon.
Yes, Sarah is studying to be a pediatrist. And, you know, many people don't even know about that field. And she's bringing attention to it. And I think it's such an inspiring thing, inspiring young girls that you can be good academically and in sport. Fantastic.
And that's what basketball does to you. A lot of girls playing basketball. You see most of them having degrees everywhere. Tega, of course, I didn't want to wrap up with what Simi said concerning investing in women's football, the clarion call she made, and also, you know, how people can actually key in and see if you have a dream, you have to chase it. And if you have that tenacity, determination, you will be able to achieve it.
Yeah, I think ultimately, I think most people take these things for granted. You know, Tobi Amusan also told us about how she switched from just sprinting to hurdles. Simi is now telling us how she's switched completely from track and field and she's gone into bobsledding. And sometimes we are so focused on trying to break through in one area that may not be our strongest suit, and then we forget to focus on the area that is potentially what could give us the breakthrough. So I think just practicing and having a good coach can help you determine whether this is an area you should pursue, whether you should look for something else. That's the first thing I would say, that switch. Most of the people that have come out to, let me think about it, Tobi Amusan, world record holder at some point in time. And all that happened was that she switched earlier in her career. And Simi is now, you know, a historian, if you say a historic Olympian, and all because she switched careers. So first things, prepare, study yourself, understand your strengths and weaknesses, get the right coaching, and then maybe, just maybe, you too can break records. But also talking about investment, I like when Oluwadolokwa touched on it and she said, you know, putting money into sports is no longer charity. It's never been. Unfortunately, people just come out with the tagline, oh, we have sisters, so let's give you money. No, this is a business venture. And in every business venture, you need to invest to even find the returns. And so what most brands need to do, most companies need to do, and most of them are beginning to find out, you know, think about tennis now. It's one of the sports that pays, you know, both the men and the women equally. And that sport is growing in leaps and bounds. So what have they done? They've invested in women's sports and they've gotten a new target audience. And because they have people that actually just watch women's sports, and that's their new target audience, they have a wider reach. They've created a bigger market and now they're making more money. So don't think about it as charity. Think about it as a new business. I mean, women's sports is growing in leaps and bounds. Think about Arsenal ladies filling up the stadium the other day. Think about the numbers that came in from the World Cup. Think about the US Open with Coco Gauff actually had more TV viewers than the men's final. And so the women's sport has a great audience that most brands have not even tapped into. And so investing in women's sports actually gives you that opportunity to tap into that market. And so you get your returns of investment from there. So it's not charity. It's not I'm helping women grow. It's not I'm supporting women. It's I'm coming here to make money. So that's what it is. Bring your investment and their returns.
All right. We'll get back to women later because we are going to be talking about the CAF Women's, Africa Women's Cup of Nations. Okay, but before we get there, let's quickly touch down on this one. Nigerian Football Federation earlier today put up a notice that they are searching for coaches for the Super Eagles of Nigeria and also for the Golden Eaglet, that's the under-17 boys team. Austin, let me take you on this one. You know, we've talked about this coaching thing. When NFF is now throwing it open, so it's official that, yes, they're not going to renew the contract with, of course, you know him, Joseph Pesero, because maybe, the feelers we heard was demanding like 120 quid in dollars, and then NFF, of course, maybe they can afford that. So he's left already, his contract ran out, so he left the squad. And now they're shopping for coaches. Everyone can apply as long as you have the criteria. I mean, you have to have the criteria to be able to apply for the coaching job. Also, I know you're studying for. Are you going to go into that? Like, okay, that aside. But hey,
really, I leave my blood pressure alone. Yeah, you know, coaching is an interesting job. You know, for the Nigerian Football Federation to advertise the role. For me, I think they're just trying to bend Pizarro's hands. Also, maybe Pizarro might just apply again. You know, you never know. So, but I'm not impressed that they're advertising on the 17 role. That's a very delicate position. That's the foundation of football development for any country. So I think they should have some class or set of coaches, just like what we see with Coach Christopher Janjuma doing with the Four Corners for the women, you know, and we applaud the sort of work he's doing. I'm not saying don't give people an opportunity to apply, but now they can come out and tell me that they want to go and bring an obscure, you know, name, or even start thinking about a foreign coach for the under-17s, and that's football at the grassroots, at the base, where you need to be out there to know what's really going on in terms of talent, identification, development, and nurturing, you know. So it got to me somehow when I saw that one. But for the Super Eagles of Nigeria, let's see if the Super Eagles are now that sort of brand that can command, you know, top-class coaches to make applications. Okay. The NFF should also get ready, put your money where your mouth is. Now you've advertised it. Maybe they should have told us how much they have, because sometimes when you advertise job roles, you say what is in it, so people will know, you know, and this is not a job for me. The money is too small. I'm not interested. Or you put a benchmark and say, okay, open to negotiations according to your experience. We see these things all the time. So now they will hire a big coach. They will get our expectations high up, and then the coach comes and start telling us nobody to pick the coach. NFM, you two go back and look at your job description, put it back up, put the benefits of the role, what is expected of the coach, and then Cecilia, we can start talking. But yes, with this now, it's confirmed Pizarro's role is out there. I think what my sources are telling me, Pizarro might just apply for this role. He's been thanking Nigerians lately for their support, and he has asked us to pray for him. He already loves the country. There's no way he won't love Nigeria. I think you come to Nigeria, I'll owe you salary for 6 months. When you are leaving, you still love us. You know, General did the same thing. Now Pizarro is kind of stuck. So yeah, the application is out there, Cecilia. Let's see what will come out of that vacancy announcement from the NFF.
Yeah, Dolakwa, a quick one on this one. I mean, it's open now, the Sprague's job. They're under 70. Austin's not happy that they're advertising the under 70. I'm not even happy that they're advertising anyone, because I feel, I mean, coaches should be submitting resume even without them putting it up there, especially with Pesero leaving. So, I mean, Giants of Africa, come on, we're advertising. I'm not comfortable with that. I don't know about you.
I'm not comfortable either. It looks like we're just back in circles again. This kind of happens anytime we go for like a major tournament. It's either the coach leaves or the contract runs out in this case, and we're back to the so-called drawing tables to say, oh, do we want a foreign coach? Do we want an indigenous coach? Now that they're advertising, is the criteria supposed to be foreign coach or local coach?
No, there's no criteria. There's no criteria. It's open.
So it's just
as long as you have the qualification, and of course you have a winning record, you can come in.
Now that's where my issue is. Track record is on one hand.
Yeah.
What you can actually bring to the table is on the other hand.
Yeah.
Now let's look at our former coach. I was looking, since when I started watching football as a little girl, I looked at all the coaches we've had as the Super Eagles. Longevity is a problem.
Yeah.
And I think if I can talk directly to the NFF right now, I think what my appeal will be is the Super Eagles need stability, both on the coaching end and the team end. The team that went to WAFCON right now, with a little tweak here and there, I think they would do better at the World Cup. And I think that's where our focus should be. We need a coach that will be with the team now, that will take the team to the World Cup, do exploits there, and still stay. In my record, I think it's even Janet Raw that has been like the longest foreign coach. And maybe indigenous coach will be Stephen Keshi.
Yeah.
something like that. So we need a coach that is just not, okay, they just mentioned the name. And this, now that they've thrown the vacancy open, it can be an all-comers affair.
Yeah.
Everyone would just say, oh, is there free money in Nigeria? Let's go. It shouldn't be like that.
They have I mean, NFF already, they have the capacity to receive as much as 200,000 applications, and they start sorting it out.
No, we should go for the best. And I think right now,
maybe that's what
we should look inwards.
Okay.
A name that is coming to mind.
Yeah.
I was talking with someone earlier this week, and the person was saying Finidi George for the role. And I'm looking at, okay, let's look at our indigenous coaches. What have they done on the MPFL level? And this particular name came up, and he's done something for Imba.
Yeah.
If we look at what he did, but at the moment, he's also trying to build something at his club. Should that kind of person come to the national? Would he do well? Now, that's a question, that's a conversation we need to start having.
Okay. All right, Tega, I mean, let's have you on this one quickly. On Joseph Pesero, of course, he is out of this, he's out of the team now, and Austin mentioned that feelers that he's getting, he might just apply. Should we look inward? I mean, also throwing it open for everyone to come in, as long as you have the qualification, of course, you have a winning record.
I think what the NFF need to have is a program for football. You know, if you have a plan for football, you won't need to throw it open to everybody. And I think that's where the problem is, which is why they're also advertising age grade role, which is a role they shouldn't be advertising, because if they had a program and a plan of how the progress of these developments will go and these young boys will go, they will know exactly which coaches to bring in. Now, with the Super Eagles, I completely agree with Dolapo, and she says it. We need longevity. So again, that will come down to the program and the plan you have. Whoever you're bringing in, how long is he going to stay? What are you looking? What's your target? Now, there's Morocco 2025. There's FIFA World Cup in 2026. So what's your target? Do you want to use the Morocco as a good training ground and then go to the World Cup and then make the impact? Or do you want to continue from where you stopped? You know, you played the final in Côte d'Ivoire in 2024. Maybe you want to win it in 2025 and then go and make a big impact to the World Cup. That's what you look at to determine who you are going to hire. Okay. The first thing I think is Nigeria, the NFF doesn't have the money to hire any big names.
All right.
So let's just cut our quote according to our sizes.
All right.
Go for the local coaches that understand the system and give them time to build. Simple.
As easy as that. Let's leave them and quickly touch down on this one. Now, I mean, with the Africa Women's Cup of Nations, we're having it November, December, and when Morocco hosted the last edition in 2022, it was June, July. And now, this is 2024, with the whole calendar fixed, and we discovered that the Africa Women's Cup of Nations is not even listed on FIFA's calendar because there is no date for the Africa Women's Cup of Nations, and feelers are going, it may not just hold this year, but NFF Director of Marketing and Communication talked about the fact that, yes, they are working with the Moroccan FA to see how Moroccan authorities, to see how they can actually host it this year. But if you look at all the dates, maybe I'll throw this to Austin first before I come to the studio. Austin, quickly on this one, CAF is still searching for dates to actually host the Women's Africa Cup of Nations. And
I know, Cecilia, I remember we talked about this last year, and I just don't know what CAF has been doing. Maybe they were busy with the AFCON in Côte d'Ivoire, but I've also looked at it, and I can see dates in there. You know, this is why this is a good day to call out the Confederation of African Football, because we're celebrating women, and we're talking about inclusion, because if it's the men, they will jump up now and start running everywhere to find the dates. We've got about 12 teams that have already qualified for this WAFCON in Morocco. And now there's uncertainty everywhere. Just look at the calendar and see what you can do. I think, again, they're looking at the commercial angle. Mosepe and his team, they're all about, you know, generating revenues for African football. I agree, it's good, it's about time. But the last African Women's Cup of Nations got us talking. Over 50,000 persons were in the stadium for that final between Morocco and South Africa. Even the match between Nigeria and Morocco, there must have been some good, you know, get-takings. African women's football is showing good signs of development. I don't know why CAF allowed this to get to this stage, because the calendar looks filled up already. They might just come out next year now and say, I don't even think they've announced dates for the next African Cup of Nations for the men. So it's all tight at the moment. They need to find a way, squeeze it in, and then see how we can have the African Women's Cup of Nations this year. It should be done this year to keep the momentum going. Atega.
All right.
May I say something?
Yes.
Just say that, go on, I called you.
You see that squeeze it in? That's the problem I have with it. Because we knew 2 years ago that we're supposed to host the African Women's Cup of Nations this year. So it shouldn't be something that they find a way to squeeze in. It should be something that they've already planned. And this is why I question, as we're celebrating International Women's Day and we are talking about inspiring inclusion, I just want to say, how do you inspire inclusion when you have no plans for the women? Because if they had a plan for the women, they wouldn't be needing to squeeze this. They would have also recognized that the Olympics were this year, and so it was going to be tight to host the African Cup of Nations in June and then tell the same women to go to the Olympics in August. So they would have long ago determined that the date should maybe be November, December, and that may impact where they played, but I know that they played the FIFA Club World Cup in Morocco in November, December sometimes, so I don't think weather is an issue. So ultimately, when you look at this thing, the bottom line is they didn't plan for the women. It's that simple. We already know that Morocco next for the men's AFCON is going to take place in June. We already know this year. We don't even know when the women's are holding. So what it is that they're making plans for the African Cup of Nations for the men, and there are no plans for the women. That's ultimately what it means.
Dolakba, do you think this is actually lack of respect for the women's game? May I take it from where Atega said, because they have no plans at all. May you awarded this. When they hosted the last one, they said they were going to host it. That was 2022. And this is 2024. You're still searching for a date to host a tournament that was awarded 2022.
To me, it's just lack of intentionality.
Okay.
This had been set since years ago. And it came to the year, we are still searching for the available date. It just shows that there is lack of intentionality. And one of my friends mentioned that the question was posed at the CAF president, but there was no decisive response to that. And it makes me sad in the sense that, are they going to squeeze it? First, they are not putting the people, the actors on the field into play, because this is not just a one-day affair. People are going to come from different countries of the world. They're going to prepare, they're going to get into camp, preparation, mental preparation, physical preparation, all these are going to be in place. Why should we wait till the last minute to have it? Now, someone had proposed a funny idea to say, oh, why can't we have both the men and male and female tournament in the same year? Maybe we can do it simultaneously. And I'm wondering, well, maybe that could be a first. But as it stands, I don't think that can happen, because if the same country is hosting the male and hosting the female, it's a bit dicey. Yeah. So I think right now we've got 8 months to go in the year, so to speak. CAF needs to come out with a direct statement to say, oh, are we holding it at the end of the year to make sure the women are catered for? That's my grouse right now, and I'm not really happy about it. I'm not.
All right. Austin, let's quickly talk table tennis. Austin.
Hi, Cecilia.
Yeah, let's quickly go to table tennis. I mean, Nigeria's performance earlier today against Egypt.
Yeah, you know, table tennis is all about Egypt at that African Games. I think they're dominating the table tennis table at the moment. But shout out to Team Nigeria for even coming out to compete under very difficult circumstances. We know how they went to the African Games, and we know preparations is a big deal in this country when you talk about, you know, other sports. And the other sports, I mean, football is what they give attention to. So table tennis, Egypt has dominated Nigeria. I think that's always been the case. And I've come here to say it, Cecilia, that with table tennis, the difference between Nigeria and Egypt, just look at their athletes and see the level of attention that they give to them and their welfare and preparation, then you understand why they're dominating Nigerian athletes, even when it comes to Aaron Okwadri and Omar Assar. But I don't just want to just go all the way, talking about the Egyptians and what they've done. I want to appreciate every athlete that comes out to represent Nigeria under very difficult circumstances, Cecilia.
Yeah, and if you look at the history, you talk about the Egyptian dominance. There was actually a time where Nigeria was dominating. You look at the history of table tennis in Nigeria. The women, they've actually won the title from 1978 to 2007. And of course, the Egyptian dominance started 2011. So it shows there's something the Egyptians decided to do that Nigeria is no longer doing. And look at the men, they still have the record 7 times. I mean, 7 titles for the men's event before the trial of Omar Assar, Yusuf Abdulaziz, and Mohamed Balini. All of them came up to start the dominance. Nigeria won silver in both the men and women. Of course, Egypt won gold. Let's just quickly take a look at the table, what it's like at the African Games. Yes, we know these 4 corners are in action tonight against Morocco. And of course, they're able to beat them well. That's the group stage. But let's just quickly take a look at what the medal table is like. This is it for our country. And of course, Egypt has got 13 already. I mean, table tennis actually accounted for that from the singles event, both men and women. And of course, for the teams event, men and women. Morocco coming second, Tunisia third, Nigeria yet to get a gold medal. Yes, they're just starting up now, and 5 medals in all. And you know the reason why. Table tennis giving that bronze medal, you have Adam Ofiong, then the silver medal for the men, the 2. And in all, Nigeria's got 5 medals so far. So it's looking pretty. It's just starting. The opening ceremony is actually today, but some events started before the opening ceremony. Table tennis, as I mentioned earlier, and of course, football also started. I mean, that's for the All-African Games. Well, maybe just to chip in 1 or 2 things in the table tennis before we move to MPFL quickly. I'll just run through that.
Okay. There's one girl that my sights are on, and it's on table tennis, Oyinlomo Quadri. And I think if she's going to perform here, it will be a good one, because I'm looking at her antecedent, and I'm thinking that this could actually be a good one, because 20...
That's tennis.
Yes,
that's tennis.
Yes, tennis. Right from 2015, when she became the ITF champion.
All right. Yeah, I mean, there's so much to do, but there's really no time for that. Tega, I want to thank you so much for coming on the program. And of course, Olakpo, thank you so much for coming on the program. Austin, we gotta go, yes.
I know, Cecilia, what a night. I'm super excited to be amongst you women. Thank you so much for everything you do for sports development in Nigeria. And to everyone out there for doing the show with us. Let's take a moment to appreciate women wherever we are in the world, because truly they add a lot of spice to our world. That's the show in London. I'm Austin Okonakpan. In everything you do, remember, keep talking sports. Bye for now.
Tega, thank you so much for joining me tonight on International Women's Day.
Thank you for having me.
Olakpo, thank you once again. I mean,
it's always a pleasure. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you so much for watching. I'm Cecilia Adeagbo. We'll leave you with this boxing report by Austin Okonakpan. Good night.
The boxers, accompanied by their dad, Charles Chitama, chairman of NDDIS Bimbo for Lion, boxing promoter Ben Gray, and supporters arrived to the Nigeria High Commission in an expectant mood. The High Commissioner, His Excellency Cyprian, and staff of the embassy welcomed the guests. The national pledge was rendered, and the meeting progressed.
Why did we come? We came to introduce them, Your Excellency, so that we can give them all the official support, all the official backing that they need as a country. Because when they box out there, they make us proud. They bring so much value to us. They make all the millions eventually, but we benefit from the glory, because it shows that people from Nigeria are high achievers.
Let the embassy know about the itinerary. He's going to fight on the 10th. He's going to fight on the 22nd at this what do you call that? Your call, so that if there could be some representation, some people from my embassy to be able to take part, to come and see. So at least after the fight, you could go and say, thank you, boy, keep on the flag.
With these gentlemen around the table here, I guarantee you international sporting glory for Nigeria. 100%.
The Itoma brothers are telling an inspiring story of how boxing can strengthen family ties. The youngest, Moses, is likened to the great Iron Mike Tyson. At just 18, he is on track to become the youngest heavyweight champion of the world.
There's a lot of things I can't control. There's a lot of things that Mike Tyson was able to do that I'm not allowed to do at the minute. So I'm just going into the ring, and obviously my Nigerian roots obviously come with me, and yeah, help me prevail in my fights.
Okay. We can also work in concert with them to get sponsors for them to sponsors that will support them to visit Nigeria. And visiting Nigeria is not just visiting to showcase themselves. We want them to visit and explore various opportunities that are available in Nigeria in terms of encouraging young boxers in Nigeria and seeing how they can also help in bringing them up.
Hip, hip, hip. Hooray!